Hello and welcome to Bastion and Broadcasting, where today we are treading new ground that has never been trodden before. We are designing, now sit down because this might sound like too crazy of an idea, but we're designing a one-page role-playing game. A feat that has never been successfully achieved before. Many have tried. There's a lot of people claiming they have done it already, but I'm not seeing the evidence out there. So this is the first ever one-page role-playing game, pioneered by me. So the challenge here is I'm going to try and create a role-playing game that is complete and can be played and fits on one page of A4. We've got, I've cheated slightly because I didn't want to be faffing around with making tables and text boxes. So we've got this as a starting point. And earlier today I asked people on Twitter what they wanted in there. There's some unrelated tweets at the top here. Don't pay any attention to them. So I'm going to pick and choose from this list of game concepts, and we're going to try and mash them into a one-page role-playing game. If you have got anything to add in the chat, feel free to do so. I'm not going to be able to fit all of these things into a game, but I'm going to do my best to get as many of them in as I can. And at some point, I'm going to have to draw a line and say no more, because once we get into hundreds of viewers, it's going to get a little bit tricky to keep up with all that. So Sam Dobler and, in fact, Zach Cox of Jelly Muppet fame here have both said something about plagiarism. Strange coincidence that topic came to mind for both of them. And battery acid, in all caps. Grant Howitt, I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't know who that is. Giant fucking robots. Good idea. Cave Girl Emmy Allen says clockwork. I feel like I'm going to have to bolt that onto another idea, and it's gonna create a nice compound idea. Declan J. Keane, bell curve dice mechanics aimed at mixed results rather than binary yes or no, and bureaucratic magic and cults. So I can tell you now, I've cheated in that I've decided ahead of time that I'm not going to be using dice. I'm aware that you can have a bell curve on other means of randomization, but I'll take the sort of mixed results, like mixed success results, I guess, rather than binary yes no. There's a lot of bureaucracy in Electric Bastion, and so I feel like the bureaucratic side I might stay away from, but I do like the idea of magic and cults. I'm going to go for cults out of those two. Adobe, if you could just not. Thank you. Sky Mall Video, my favourite suggestion so far is alligators. Well, multiple big alligators. Now, the difficulty you've got is, as part of the, I've already forgotten the name, which is terrible. That Dissident Voices, I believe. I wrote an adventure for the compilation that was put out with many people involved in support of Black Lives Matter, and Dissident Voices is the name, right? And that in there, Luke Gearing had something about alligators or crocodiles, and I remember it being awesome. So it's a tough act to follow if we're going down the alligator road. Wombat says portals. Okay. Cats, the animal or the musical. I'll come back to that. A vast ocean liner, Colin Sinclair. That's solid. Forgive me for this pronunciation. Emmanuel Mello. D10s and tokens. I'm sad to say I'm going to be using neither of those, so this is like brutal of me, but I'm going to completely disregard that entire suggestion, just because I don't want to use any dice and tokens. I'm hoping we can use these cards perhaps to make things interesting. Pharmaceutical industry, Abe Lincoln Jr. I'm for once in my life I'm like, I don't want to make fun of like the pharmaceutical industry. I'm hoping they're gonna do us some favors, but I'll put them in there. Nicoten says echolocation, solid. Tyrant says an underwater cavern. And Porthos 47 queuing. And again, there's a good amount of queuing. No matter how many times I write queuing out, it never looks right. I'm going to stand by this spelling. I will support Notepad all day long, but the lack of spell checker on Notepad does sometimes cause me problems. So that's that. This is our palette of ideas that we're going to be using. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit all of them in. Saying that, I'm getting like a flashback now. I've got a really clear memory. I don't know why this is reminding me of it, and apologies for the tangent. I've got a really clear memory of being like when I was at school and maybe like 8 years old, doing like a joint project with some older children who in my mind were like adults, but I think they were probably like 10 and like we were like 7, and they asked us for elements to put into a story, like what characters would you like to have in this story, and they were asking like a group of us of like 7-year-olds, and we were just like putting our hands up and putting suggestions, and then they'd write them all down, and then next week they'd come back and they'd read us a story that included all those things. And obviously you can imagine how it went. Like we just said things like RoboCop and anything that came into our head in that period of time, which would have just been stupid ideas. And I still remember, I remember that bit quite clearly, but I remember the crushing disappointment of looking forward to this awesome story that involved like Bugs Bunny and RoboCop in the same story. And then when they came back the following week to read the story to us, they said it was actually too difficult to include all of our elements, so they just wrote their own story. And that was about the point where I gave up hope of just about everything. So on that note, we're going to make a game. So I thought that as a change, and also because I was messing around with something using cards this week that didn't really go anywhere, I thought we could use a deck of cards instead of dice. As far as I'm aware, no. I was going to keep up this joke and say that no RPG has ever used cards before, but I can already like feel people like twitching and like getting stressed at this running joke where I just pretend I've invented all these things. So no, I'm aware that using cards instead of dice is not a is not a revolutionary idea, but it's revolutionary for me. I don't think I've ever actually gone through and made a game with it. So a one-pager is kind of a nice way of doing that. I should probably not just be creating loads of frame text in here. Most of this video is going to be me wrestling with the layout. So let's get on with the idea. So when we're thinking about a one-page role-playing game, for me, what it needs is it needs to have a very strong identity that you can express almost with just the title. So I've gone this far without actually giving credit to Grant Howitt and Chris Taylor, who make lots of one-page role-playing games. They themselves, I'm sure, would not say they were the first to do it, but they've made like a name for doing it. And the thing I want to avoid, which is quite annoying because they've actually got quite a good little niche where often the name of the game will kind of tell you everything you need to know. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying there does seem to be a proclivity for animal hijinks. Like it just seems like good fuel for a one-page role-playing game. Like, is it like Pig at a Wedding or something is one of theirs, and Honey Heist is the one everybody knows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you now, we're not going to be alligators. running a pharmaceutical company, because I know that would be incredible, but I don't want to go into the Hearty Dice Friends well. Cytail mentioned lasers and feelings. So when I mentioned this to Grant today that I was doing this on Twitter, he basically said, like, in so many words, he said, I stole the idea from John Harper, who did obviously lasers and feelings, amongst other things. So it's really not a new idea, but yeah, lasers and feelings is solid because it's got a very strong identity. If you just say it's kind of like campy sci-fi Star Trek, people kind of get it, because you've only got one page to fit everything in. But what I really want to try and fit on here is lots of ideas to help you run the game, because I think generating ideas is kind of the strength of one-page games. I think if they fall down a little bit, it's because you don't know what to do with it, and I want to give lots of fuel for the fire. So we're going to pick our kind of central concept. We need to think, who are our characters? What are they trying to achieve? And why is it difficult or complicated for them to achieve that? So I do like plagiarism, and I'm getting like flashbacks to like doing my homework. I don't know why this episode is so heavy on me at school anecdotes. That there's no especially juicy anecdotes from my school days, but like copying and pasting articles from in Carter 96 and try to pass it off as your own work for homework. So I'm thinking like I'm going to do like a sort of short list of ideas, and then we'll do like maybe a little vote. So let's make this a bit more manageable. Let's do it here. Short list of ideas. So idea 1. And we'll try and fit all the elements in to each of these ideas. This is just the kind of the core of the game. So plagiarizing homework in the CD-ROM era. Idea 2, like I feel like battery acid isn't going to hold up a game on its own. Big giant robots. I want that to be the spice rather than the meat of the game. Same with clockwork to some extent. Cult could be fun. I don't know. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of cult stuff in the real world that's scaring me slightly, so I don't know whether that's making me want to do it more or less. Ocean liner, that could be, so something happening on an ocean liner. So like the obvious thing you would think of is like murder on an ocean liner. Queuing for the buffet. Queuing for the buffet. Oh, that's not how you spell queuing. Look, I've embarrassed myself. Queuing for the buffet on a cruise ship. It's, yeah. I bow to you, whoever originally suggested that on Twitter, and your superior spelling. Queuing for the buffet on a cruise ship. Idea 3. I feel like we need to inject some heat into these. These will all get spiced, but this is like the core conflict of the game. What else have we got here? I feel like cults could be a part of it. Alligator. So again, alligator cult is a bit too. I feel like the pharmaceutical thing is the. Or underwater cavern. So, alligator breeders. So I'm thinking like something to do with like underwater cavern alligators. You're trying to like protect the alligators rather than being the alligators. So this is where I need to pay attention to my interface here. No, I thought I could do a poll in the chat, but I've not like looked it up until now whether or not I can do that. So is it as straightforward as me typing /poll? Oh, it really is. Here we go. So question. Which game? So, CD-ROM plagiarism. Buffet queue. I'm going to drop a 2-minute poll in here. I had no idea that I could do this. I feel like a real streamer. It's incredible. While you have 2 minutes to vote on that, I can use this to do some little plugging for other things that are happening at the moment. So this Friday at midnight GMT, which is just under 3 hours from now, so midnight my time, so I'm going to be drinking lots of coffee. I'm going to be running Electric Bastionland on stream. I will be hosting the stream on this channel, but it will be on the TPK Roleplayers channel. So if you want to see me run Electric Bastionland for people who they have played it before, with they've played the system with a different sort of setting to it, but I don't think, certainly not on their stream, they've not played Electric Bastionland in the Electric Bastionland setting. So I'm going to be running a game for them that will sort of introduce the setting. I'm going to see if they can survive. I know that my cliche that I think of when I think of actual play games on streams is that characters never die. So today, last minute, I thought, should I actually mention that the characters can die? So I mentioned it in the group, and everyone's happy with that. But it's not going to be like a killer GM sort of game, but it'll be fun. So that's going to be at midnight GMT on this Friday night, so Friday the 13th. So it's kind of evening time in the US. So hopefully that'll be a lot of fun. Our poll is coming to a close, and it's a tie. So somebody needs to come and break this tie, or else I'm shutting down the whole stream. We've got a tie. So I'm glad to see that it was a straight 50-50 between what I was kind of hoping for. Cruise ship buffet queue and CD-ROM homework plagiarism. Alligator breeders, yeah, it's a bit too, I don't want to go too far into the animal things. I kind of like the idea of CD-ROM homework plagiarism, and I don't know why that appeals to me. I've got I was the perfect age to be able to enjoy multimedia educational CD-ROM experiences. Give me Encarta 96, Dangerous Creatures, musical instruments, was it? Was there a Microsoft musical instruments? Remain, I know that you've just come in and said cruise ship as the tiebreaker, but you missed the vote. And I'm not going to make comments about votes and counting votes, but I've now set my heart on CD-ROM homework plagiarism. And I think the school is a rich setting for it's quite easy to leap into. And if this is a success, I'll do something on a cruise ship next time. So that's what we're doing. So I need to think of a clever name, but we'll get to that. I'm gonna drop this joke because it was kind of old by now already. It's important that we get the branding strong. I might want to delete my accreditation here. So here's what we're doing. We're going to do characters first. Let's get rid of all this. In fact, your character's just going to be on a table. So let's have this. So you're going to draw a card. In fact, I should probably have some kind of introduction to introduce the game before we have character creation. So your homework is due. Let's do your essay is due by the end of the day. You don't know anything about the topic. It's going to be a group project. That's, for a moment I was like, is this like a solo game? Your group project is due by the end of the day. You don't know anything about the topic. This is like weirdly close to the Electric Bastion and introduction. Yeah, your group project is due by the end of the day. You don't know anything about the topic. Plagiarism is your only hope. Okay, so draw 2 cards for your character archetype and their skill. So I'm thinking like we could have like, yeah, 2 results here. So let's split this. Yeah, you're not going to make this. Let's relax. I'm panicking. Right. Archetype. I don't know about archetype. I'm gonna think on that maybe for a minute. So we're going to need 13 sort of school setting archetypes, but the skills are going to come in separate. So you know what? I think we're going to do the skills first and then the archetype second, because I want there to be not so much overlap between the two. You know what? I'm going to do like a connection actually. Let's do a skill and a connection. So it gives you like a skill that you're going to be good at. No, I'm already like jumping between things. We're going to keep it dead simple. We're just going to have a strength and a weakness. So you're going to draw 2 cards for your character's strength and weakness. So we'll fill that in afterwards. Then actually playing the game. So as usual, like I want to try and stress the idea that, you know, you're not just trying to, you're not like drawing cards all the time to see if you achieve anything. The cards maybe would come out, so like the equivalent of when you would do a dice roll. It has to be because there's some kind of risk. So, risky moves. When you do something risky, draw a card. If your strength applies, draw 2 cards and choose one. Choose 2 cards and keep the best. If your weakness applies, draw 2 cards and keep the worst. So red is success, black is failure. Now, what did I say? I said that there was going to be mixed success mechanics in here. So how can I... You could have it on like this, the strength applies, but no. Red is success, black is failure. Let me think it through. Well, you know what? We could just have the actual suits. So it's obviously at school, hearts are going to be the top. So the reds are going to be successes, but they can be like tiers of success. I know there's like various canonical like rankings of card suits, but I like to keep it simple. So I feel like club is like a worse thing, getting clubbed at school. So these are going to be like our 4 levels of success. So hearts, a total success, and you impress someone. Diamonds. So I still think it should be a success, but like maybe it comes with a different advantage. So a success, and I feel like this "and" doesn't need to be bold, but I've committed to it now. A success, and you like get a resource. Spades. A failure, and you're slightly humiliated. Club. Failure, and like it should be like you're getting beat up. Maybe I'm like projecting too much onto this school experience. A failure, and you've pissed someone off. There we go. So the number is irrelevant at the moment, which I don't mind, you know. I think it's fine. The big advantage of cards is obviously there is like a tactile difference, but also you have that kind of weird thing where if you draw like 3 hearts early on in the game, you kind of like you're stacking the deck against yourself by doing that, because you've got fewer good cards in the deck there. Whereas if you get a load of bad luck early on and you've just drawn loads of black cards, then you know you're standing more chance of succeeding later on. So we'll have a nice simple system there. I'm not going to get too hung up on the actual system, because I want the main thing to be like the content on this page that's going to actually let you run it. Because as it stands, you know, even if I fill this in, you look at this and you'll be like, well, that's great, but what do I actually do? Like, how do we actually run this game? So let's so this is like our task resolution, but there needs to be like the sort of the equivalent to like HP and like getting treasure in D&D. Like what does a win look like and what does a lose look like? Because at the moment it's like, yeah, we need some kind of ongoing situation. And I guess the main thing that you're fighting against is time. And the thing that you're trying to get, I guess, is like pages, I suppose, like pages for your project. So let's say it's a 10-page. And the beautiful thing about this incredibly well-designed system that we're looking at now, is that the cards could also double up as your pages. So you could use these to track how many pages you've got. I like it. So page counts. When you do one of the following, you can complete 1 page of your project. Take a card and keep it face down at your... Take a card and keep it face down. When you have 10 pages, your project is complete and ready for assessment. I'll come back to that. I'm wondering about whether there could be something at the end of the game where the 10 cards that you've got, you kind of flip them and there's some kind of end game resolution, like to see whether your project was actually any good, like a kind of a score. Okay, so we'll get back to like assessments. I can tell that some people are going to be annoyed that I've got like 2 text boxes here, but I'm living with it. With that in mind, I'm going to continue this tradition of just creating a new box for every paragraph. So that's page count. So assessment, we'll come back to this, but I think something to do with like reveal the cards and something about scoring. So yeah, we'll come back to this. Time is our enemy, isn't it? So it seems like it's quite a natural fit to have like the deck be your time. So it could be that when the deck runs out, you're out of time. When the last card is drawn from the deck, the last card is drawn from the deck, it's the bell rings. You must present your project as it is. Move to assessment. So we're gonna swap these two around. So basically, you're going around, you're trying to get like pages for your project, which we'll get to how to actually get them, and yeah, you're trying to do that before the deck runs out. And if the deck runs out, you move straight to assessment. But if you get 10 pages, then you go to assessment with the full 10 pages there. So, you know, it's got a kind of built-in timer to it. The one thing I will say is if you've got 52 card deck here, you're going to have a problem where that's a lot of actions. If you're drawing like 1 or 2 cards per action, I think you're going to, that's a long game. So I think we want to put in some extra little events that maybe like burn through the deck, or sort of other ways to burn through the deck. So, characters. What are strengths and weaknesses of some sort of typical high school characters? I'm aware that I kind of did this with Teen Island. I did like kind of teenage high school archetypes. So yeah, it's a rich well for like cliches, I suppose. And in this kind of game, I do feel like cliches are your friend to some extent. So, A, athletics. Why are you so small? There we go. So I kind of think like the weakness should be the opposite. So, oh no, because, well, this is the situation. So if you have the weakness is the opposite, then you have a weird situation where you have the strength and weakness are the same, and they kind of cancel each other out. So if you had like athletics and like your weakness was frailty, then you get a bit of a weird situation. So we need to make sure they're not all the same. I'm thinking weaknesses are going to be more like psychological weaknesses, because that's what I think of when I think about being a teenager. Strength, sarcasm. Listen, I can't abide it being small. I'm going to have to do this, which I know is irrational, but this is my weakness. So let's make you 12. There we go. So strength, athletics. Yeah, just let's have jokes, sneaking around, strength. Help me out with some strengths for like a sort of these school kids that are trying to complete their thing. Well, we've said that we're going to dip into the kind of CD-ROM well. So we're going to have like computers as a strength. What else was on our list? Giant fucking okay, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Cats, yeah, animals. I like a niche skill. It's determined to set this, and I know why. But popularity. So I'm just going to call that like social manipulation. You know what? Let's say peer manipulation and then adult manipulation as two different things. Echolocation. Should we just have like random, like, I know it's not really a superpower, but I don't know, I feel like senses is kind of boring. Queuing, like, oh, being boring, that's a strength. Definitely a strength. Yeah, pet baby alligator. I want to keep these as like something about them. We're gonna have like wealthy parents. We're gonna have I mean, we haven't just got like straight up book smarts. Really? Okay. We're gonna have useless trivia. Teacher blackmail. Yeah, that'd be like adult manipulation, I guess. Let's do some weaknesses. I'm going to come back to strengths. So weaknesses. I mean, we're going to have like cowardly. We're going to have angry. We're going to have withdrawn, I think is better. I know withdrawn might kind of go badly with other things, but we'll make it work. Can't have like any physically frail ones because we've got athletics in there. Hygiene is a strong. And again, I can't spell. That's good. Just generally disliked, well, unpopular, let's say, to kind of flip one of them around. Rude. Oh, envious. Definitely. Competitive might be like a good weakness. Confrontational. Like clingy, like not wanting to go on their own. So we've got the basics there. We'll fill the blanks later on because you don't want to see me staring at a table for 45 minutes. What next? So next we need some like obstacles, I think. So this is where this can come in. Maybe we have some obstacles on one. Or like locations. I guess that makes more sense. So like the general kind of structure would be you need to go to a location to get what you need for one page, but there is an obstacle in your way. And this is where we can put in a lot of this crazy stuff that we've got to fit into this game. So this layout is absolutely criminal. I do apologize. Getting pages. So the idea is if you steal pages from various sources, you'll probably get away with it. As such, you cannot gain more than one page from a single location. Draw a card each. Now draw a card. Draw 2 cards to tell you the location where you suspect you may be able to plagiarize some work, a page of work. And the obstacle that stands in your way. So, at the moment, if I'm thinking about how happy I am with this as a whole, I'm like 2 out of 10. I feel like it needs something. I feel like it needs something that's going to like create, because what you don't want is you accidentally just create the world's most boring game where you're just running around a school trying to, you know, find a printer that works. So there needs to be things that kind of snowball out of control. So what I'm thinking is we make these 2 columns wide. And what we say is, if you draw a location or obstacle that you have already drawn this game, consult the second column for a more unusual result. So first column, relatively standard stuff. So the first time you draw an ace, you might get something that you would expect to see in a school. The second time, you might get something ridiculous. So there we go. So let's make another one of them. Look at that, it just fits. And we've got room to do this whole assessment thing afterwards. So we have locations here, and we have obstacles here. So we're going to come up with some of them. Let's just do this whole assessment thing. We'll put something in there. When you hand in, reveal all the cards and take the single for your grade. So an ace, so an ace is going to give you an A. A jack, queen, or king is going to give you a B. Let's work backwards. No, let's stick to it. So we'll do like 8 to 10 gives you a C. I need to be consistent in this. I'm losing the plot. 8, 9, 10 will give you a C. 5, 6, or 7 gives you a D, and then 2, 3, or 4 gives you a fail. Now, yeah, this doesn't quite work. So let's give you an A, B, C, D. We're going to go down to F. Yeah, let's do that. No, you know what? I know this is like the least important bit, and I really shouldn't be getting hung up on it. But I think there we go. And Affinity Publisher is deciding whether or not to crash. I will take this as a sign that I should save. There we go. So that's fine for now. So you draw ace as an A, king as B, and so on. Yeah, add up the total cards to get your percentage, then equate that to grades. Yeah, you could do that, and that's probably better than what I've done there. But we're on a time limit, so I'll take my imperfect system. Thank you very much. And also, anything that asks the players to do a percentage, like, doesn't feel quite right to me. And also, I just like the idea that you might have completely been crap through the whole game and just showed up with one page, but you got an ace, so it's like an A, and that feels very appropriate to the setting. So we need 13 school locations that are kind of typical, then 13 weird school locations that are not typical. Then we have the same here for obstacles. Now, I tell you now, we can put in some weird stuff here. This is where we can really do it. So battery acid spill. Acid spill. I'm going to correct the size of this. You know, I'm going to try and do it now, but I know that it's just going to flip most of them back. I'm going to put acid spill in the unusual results. Giant fucking robot. We'll have a double here, so we'll have a robotics lab, I think. It's the more unusual one. Maybe not 1 point, please. Yeah, we'll have like a robotics lab. And we'll have escaped robot as one of those results. Clockwork. Like the clockwork workshop. Clock workshop. Why not? Cult. So yeah, we'll have a location. We'll have the hidden shrine, and it's up to you to interpret that. Multiple big alligators. So I think we should have like what's like the most basic school pet? Escaped rats, escaped lab rats. But then we should also have like giant alligator. Just as one of the results here. Portals. We'll have a portal to hell as an obstacle, I guess. That makes sense. Cats. So let's have obstacles are for the queen here. We'll have school cat as an obstacle here, and then we'll have school performance of cats, the musical, as the second result. Vast ocean liner, maybe not in a school, but you could certainly have a boat. So, no, you know what? Let's have a boating lake at this school. Maybe boasting lake. I'm going to keep the boasting lake here because that was a typo, but I like it. Pharmaceuticals. So yeah, that's like I suppose you'd have like the nurses station. echolocation, so like bats. Yeah, why not? Bats. Underwater cavern. We'll just put like the caves. I'm just going to go full. I'm going to go with the catacombs. Where I grew up, there were some caves near our school that were referred to as the catacombs. That were the subject of many, many urban myths. I was obviously far too lame to go down there, but I'm putting them in there. And queuing, let's just have that as an obstacle. Long queue. So we have a little bit of a template here. Now we're going to fill out these results. So help me out. Obstacles and locations for our school. And then we just need to go back here and we're kind of done with it. I don't know if it's going to... I need to emphasize this whole, I think, the CD-ROM era. I don't know whether this is going to... Making it a period piece is sometimes a crutch to make something more interesting, and I think this definitely needs a crutch. So I'm just going to call it Plagiarism 96. So it's 1996. What more could I do to give this era appropriate appearance? If anything, my layout is like too good for 96. So setting it in 96 gives me immediately skateboarding as a strength, and let's go for music. You might find a way to make it work. Unpopular, withdrawn, angry, cowardly. I'm just gonna go with like obedient as a weakness. Greedy. Is it wrong to... I'm just gonna like work down the 7 deadly sins. I feel like lust is an obvious one, but I'm going to skirt around that. Cowardly, angry, withdrawn. I'm just going to go for like selfish and immature, and they can work out what that involves. I can't bear it. I'm changing that to sneaking around. So here we go. So I'm going to generate a character right now in front of all of you. We have... this is a 6 of spades, so it doesn't matter. So my strength is peer manipulation, and then my weakness is the 4. So my weakness is hygiene. So I'm good at manipulating my peers, but I have bad hygiene. So there you go, it works. And now we just need to fill in this, and we're good. So we need some more results for locations. Let's go with some... obsessed is a good one, actually. Sky Full of Dust has just dropped that fantastic idea. See, I've got like confrontational and angry here, which are kind of similar. Yeah, let's get rid of confrontational. Let's have obsessed. I'm sure we can all relate. So locations. Our first results are just going to be kind of relatively mundane. Canteen, library, computer room. Science lab. Toilets is a strong play, thank you. Sky Full of Dust. I mean, you can obviously like go through, so gym would be a good one. Swimming pool. If you went to a luxurious school that had a swimming pool. You can obviously like go through all the classes, but I feel like there's certain subjects that are like more evocative than others. Workshop, janitor, closet. You know what? I've been Americanized too much. We would say caretaker. We would never have said janitor about somebody who works at the school. So I'm going to stick with my authentic voice and say caretaker. And where else would there be? Staff room. Come on. Oh, bike sheds is good, actually. Is there something I can bump away? And we'll put the... We want these to all be a bit weird, so let's not worry about those other ones that we've missed. So robotics lab, clock workshop, hidden shrine. I'm feeling like we can just like take what's down here and amplify it a little bit. I know that's not quite what we've done. So I feel like we can have some. Secret bar for the teachers. Surveillance room. Truancy off it. Let's just have the brig. So for this second result, it needs to be like weird stuff that you wouldn't really expect to see in a school. Brig is good. Smoking room. I feel like that's like the secret teacher bar maybe goes there. Oh, I know where you want it to be. This isn't really that weird, but lost and found. Or lost property is good. And then we've got a few more to do. We're going to come back to that because my brain's feeling dry on that one. Just for now. Obstacles. Easy. Bullies. Teacher. Caretaker. Locked door. Yeah. Long queue. Like a snitch. No ink. No ink is a good obstacle, but it's like, what's it going to be? It's like you've found a way to get a page of work from the bike shed, but there's no ink. Like it's a bit trickier to work out. Bad weather. I like some of them just being super mundane on this side. Hall monitor. I feel like teacher is like two, so we can have like a strict teacher, and then down here we'll have like, what's the word I'm after? Friendly teacher doesn't sound right, but like teacher that thinks they're cool. So we'll just have like annoying teacher. Fire drill. And then just like crowds. One of my biggest memories of school, when I first went to secondary school or high school, when I was like 10 years old, my main memory of like going to secondary school from primary school was that everywhere was just a crowd, and like getting around the corridors was like an absolute, just like a scrum, compared to the haven of primary school, when, you know, going from sort of ages, I don't know what even age is primary school, like 7 to 10 or whatever, or 6 to 10. Yeah, it was. I remember lots of crowds and getting like pushed up against walls and stuff a lot. That was my main thing. So, I like zealous teacher. I like the kind of cult leader teacher as a kind of obstacle. Yeah, Skyfall just was correcting me that 5 to 10. Well, believe it or not, I used to work as a teacher, so I should know this. But yeah, primary school would be 5 to 10. So I like the whole surveillance drone, rival school invasion, actual fire, portal to hell, time anomaly, murder of crows, say noir. Yeah, I'm down with it. LARPers. I feel like punching down on LARPers is like, not that it's necessarily punching down, but like, I feel like I don't want to be perceived to be punching down to LARPers. If you get what I mean. Sports team. Feral sports team. I do overuse the word feral. It's fair to say. Okay, so we've got some extra stuff here. So let's just expand on other things that could be like weird places that shouldn't exist in a school. So we've got lost property. We're just going to have like... So we've got the catacombs. But... like a secret farmer lab. We had mentioned about a cult down there. We've got a hidden shrine, but I like the idea of like a bomb shelter and observatory, and finally I just like an occult library. So there we have it. I think we've filled in everything that we can. And the thing with these is, I'm never going to hold this up and say this is actually an incredible, an example of an incredible, well-designed game. But it's more like the kind of the challenge of making something self-contained. I mean, I know when other people make one-page role-playing games, they do make them quite quickly, but I think there is a little bit more method that goes into it, and a little bit more time spent. So it's very difficult to come up with these ideas live on stream. But hopefully that has been interesting to go through. I will be exporting this as a PDF, and I will stick it somewhere available, and I'll post it on Twitter shortly after this stream. But I think we can call that a success, depending on what you hope to get out of it. I don't think we'll be doing it again, because while we got there in the end, is actually I'm not sure how good viewing it makes. So thank you for sticking with it. As always, you can find out more about everything that's going on at bastionland.com. We have the Bastionland Discord server, which has been very popular lately. If you want to support the blog, you can find me on Patreon, and support on there. You can also subscribe to this Twitch stream. Not that tonight was an especially strong example, but you can subscribe to this Twitch stream, which gives various advantages that I'm not aware of. But the main thing that's happening is this Friday. There's going to be the actual play of Electric Bastion, which should be more exciting all round, one way or another. So I hope to see you all on Friday when I'm running Electric Bastion for TPK role-playing. And until then, you will be able to see Plagiarism 96 popping up on Twitter immediately after this stream. If you do give it a try, I can't be held responsible for the results. But thank you for watching, and stay safe.